All right. So we're holding now on the today on page 10, and it starts approximately a fifth line. The mechza mikra beinani. Before we start, just mamash for a minute, what we learned yesterday, the Gabe that the Beinani has two judges. Tzaddik has one judge, Yetzer Tov. Rasha has only Yetzer Hara as a judge, and Beinani has two judges, the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. It's always good to remember what we're learning as much as we can, pack the learning into davening. Then you could remember what we learned. In davening, in a bracha, Hashiva Sheftenu, Kavarishona, it's a bracha number 11. We say Hashiva Sheftenu, Kavarishona, V'yatzena Kavatchila. Should return and our judges like it's used to be. Remove from us a pain or a sigh. You should be the only king upon us. The Pashtus, this bracha talks about we should have the Sanhedrin, or the judges kevatchila, the true justice, not corrupt judges. But according to what we learned yesterday, that the Beinani has two judges, the Yetzer Tov, the Yetzer Hara. So we're saying to our own little world, our own body, was davening to Hashem, Hashiva Sheftenu, return our judges, the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara, Kvarishona, like it's used to be, that the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Tov were equal, but sometime with the time, the dynamics changes, the Yetzer Hara becomes stronger. Then what we're saying, Vosaman Yogan Va'anocha, I'm under the authority of the Yetzer Hara, he's my judge, that gives me pain and sorrow, sigh. That is our goal is Hashem, which is the Nefesh Elokis, should be the only king in our own little world, and that's the in that kavanah you could have also by Hashiva Sheftenu. We're talking about besides the global justice system in your own little world, you have the justice system of Hashiva Sheftenu. Hashem should restore my own judges, and especially the Nefesh Elokis should be the main judge. Okay. Now we're going to start today's Tanya. Alter Rebbe in yesterday's shiur proved that the Beinani, it doesn't mean somebody has 50% mitzvahs and 50% aveiros, because with one aveira, a person is called a rasha. So a Beinani must be that somebody doesn't have any aveiros. So as we said, later on we're going to learn, so what the difference in Beinani and Tzaddik, because they both don't have aveiros. So we'll learn that later on, but right now, it says Domain Ba'alma, the world thing, and something that's Gemara Kiddushin Rosh Hashanah, that we're saying, if somebody mechza al mechza, 50% mitzvah, 50% aveiros, mikra Beinani, he's an average man. V'roiv zechuyas, if somebody has more mitzvahs than aveiros, rov meaning he has 51%, over 49, that's already roiv, that's already more mitzvahs, mikra tzaddik. So how could that be? L'choira, we just proved yesterday that with one aveira, a person becomes a rasha. So 49% aveiros is a big rasha. Why you call him a tzaddik? The Alter Rebbe answers, "Who shem hamushol le'inyan schar v'oinish." It's only a borrowed term, a borrowed name for inyan schar v'oinish l'fishenidoin achar ruboy, because the person being judged. We're talking about over here now, whether Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, whether on a daily basis Hashem judges people, He judges them according to their how much zchuyos or averos they have. It's interesting, if you look in Lashon Kodesh in Hebrew, that there's a word tzaddik, there was a word tzedek. What is the difference between tzaddik and tzedek? Tzaddik means you're a righteous man. Tzedek means you're right. If we say you are right, that doesn't mean you're a tzaddik. In this case, you're right. In this argument, you're right. But it doesn't mean you're right all the time. Something over here, when we say somebody that's 50-50, the Gemara says is a Beinani, or Rov Zchuyas, they have more Zchuyas, it's called tzaddik. It doesn't mean he's tzaddik b'shema etzem. Always a tzaddik, it just means that he is a tzaddik b'shema mushal. He's right now. L'gabas schar v'oinish, Hashem doesn't punish the world. Hashem doesn't punish the city or the person if they have more zchuyas. If they have more zchuyas, they're more protected. But he says, Aval, the true essence of a tzaddik and a beinani, Omru Razal, Chachamim told us in Maseches Berachos, tzaddikim Yetzer Tov shoftam. Tzaddikim, the Yetzer Tov is the judge, He's the only judge. Shnemar v'libi cholol b'kirbi. David HaMelech says, my heart is inside is empty. She'en lo yetzer hara ki haroga b'tanis. Cholol from the word empty, cholol from the word also dead, meaning the reason his heart was empty from the yetzer hara because he killed him. Ki haroga b'tanis. Avol kol mishelo yigel madrega zu. Anybody that didn't reach this level, that he completely destroyed his yetzer hara. Meaning, so he has a Yetzer Hara, he controls him, but he has tivus, but he controls himself. Even though he has more mitzvahs than Averis, that's not called a tzaddik at all. Again, so if he has Averis, it's called a Rasha. He doesn't have Averis, it's called a Beinani. Roa kedor b'tzadikim shemuotim omad u'shtolon b'chol dor v'doir. Chuluk mashgol tzadik yisod olam. Alter Rebbe calls it medrash, even though it's a Gemara, because whenever Alter Rebbe quotes a Gemara that's agadata, he calls it a medrash. It says in the Gemara, Hashem saw tzadikim, they are fewer than Rishoyim. He planted them in every generation. Shenemar v'tzadik yisod olam. The Emes says there's many madregas of tzadikim. There is tzaddikim, it says there's 18,000 tzaddikim every generation. There is different level of tzaddikim. There is that level of tzaddik yesod olam, like Rashbi says, it's one in a generation, or maybe two, he and his son. So such a tzaddikim that they completely destroy the Yetzer Hara, that's very few of them you have. Now, he's going to go back to it, tzaddik Benini later on. Now he's going to explain a little bit about the two neshamas we have. Biur inyan. Al pi ma shekosav harachav zal b'shar hakdusha. Reb Chaim Vital Talmud of Arizal. Ube'etz Chaim Shar Nun and Perek Beis. It's also Reb Chaim Vital wrote it. Del Chol Ish Yisrael. By the way, whatever Reb Chaim Vital wrote, it's all from Arizal. Arizal never wrote any book, like the Baal Shem Tov, they didn't write any books. The Talmidim wrote their teaching, so Reb Chaim Vital wrote the teaching of Arizal. It says over there, Del Chol Ish Yisrael, every Jew, Echad Tzadik V'Echad Rasha, Yeshten Neshamas. Doesn't make a difference. A Tzadik or Rasha. He's a Jew, he has two Neshamas. The Chsiv, U'Neshamas Ani Osisi. It says in the Posuk, if I'm not mistaken, it's a Posuk in Yeshayahu, U'Neshamas Ani Osisi. Hashem says, Neshamas Lashon Rabim. From that, we're learning that Hashem created for every person multiple neshamas. One is nefesh elokis, one nefesh abamis. Now the question on it, how do we know from that posuk that says because neshamas ani osisi lashon rabim plural, yeah, that means every person has two neshamas. Maybe you could say every person has one neshama. When neshamas ani osisi refers to altogether many people, klal yisrael have many neshamas, but every person has one neshama. So there's brought an answer for it in Chassidus, that the same pasuk it says v'ruach milfona ya'atov, meaning Hashem says the ruach when it talks about different level of neshama, nefesh, ruach, neshama. When it talks about ruach, it says v'ruach milfona ya'atov. Ya'atov means will delay. The ruach will stay in front of Hashem, will delay, will wait with him. When even talks about many neshamas of Klal Yisrael, why didn't it say v'ruchois? It talks about v'ruach. One ruach, we're talking about an individual over here. The ruach melfona yata. Then we talk about the same individual. When the shama is aniyasisi, mashma, even one person, individual, the ruach would come has two neshamas. That's why the pasuk changes the lashon rabim to teach us that every individual has two neshamas. Shem shten nefoshes, nefesh achas mitzad klipa v'sitra achra. One neshama comes from the klipa v'sitra achra. The way by the word it's known clippers, it sounds very, very, has a very negative connotation, like clippers. So as we see from here, it's not necessarily so negative, as we're going to talk about it more now and later on in Perek Vav and Zayin. It's like you buy a fruit. The fruit has a clipper. The fruit has a shell. Now, the shell has a very important function. You couldn't buy bananas without the shell. You couldn't buy them. You wouldn't want to touch them. They wouldn't be hygiene. So you need to have the clipper that shomer lapri. It protects the fruits. So something over here, the clipper has different levels. Some levels of clipper stock gets tuma, as we're going to talk about it now. But some level of clipper shomer lapri. That's what it says. Nefesh achas. We have. It's not a bad nefesh. The nefesh abahamis is very good. In fact, we need it very much. Nefesh abahamis. But nefesh achas mitzad haklipa, sitra achrat on the other side. Via mislabeshes bedam ha'odom. That soul, that nefesh, it's being part of the blood and included in the blood of the person. La'achios haguf. The function of that nefesh to give chayus, to give life to our physical body. Nefesh habosor badomi. That nefesh habosor, nefesh habesoris, the nefesh habahamis, it's in the blood. So we establish, we're going to talk about nefesh elokis, the second soul, next parak. Right now we're establishing that we have two neshamas. Now we're talking about nefesh habahamis. This nefesh is giving life to our body. Without that nefesh, without blood, a person couldn't be alive. And what's in the blood? That's the nefesh habahamis. And he says, yeah.
I thought we had a neshama going through the blood, no?
Yeah, so we have two. The one we talked today, there's one neshama is nefesh habahamis. That's one giving life to the animalistic soul, to the physical body. And then he says like this: "Umimeno boes kolamidas roes." That's very, very fundamental what the Alter Rebbe is saying over here. It's, a lot of times to solve problems, you need to know the problem. And knowing the awareness of the problem is 50% of the solution. So they tells you over here right now, all the midas in the world, you could categorize them and group them into four. We have four elements. That those from four elements we have midas roes. The haino, kaas v'gaiva, anger and holiness. Misoda esh, from the foundation of the fire. The fire by nature goes up. Somebody has holiness, his spirit goes up. He feels holy, he feels superior. And kaas also come from it, because you won't be bekas if in front of somebody that it's way greater than you. You would feel calm, you feel nullified to him. The reason you allow yourself to be bekas on somebody, it's a feeling of superiority. You allow yourself to be angry with him, and also be without the gaiva part of it. Something like a fire shoots up. The kas, when a person has a kas, his mood, it shoots up. So anyway, that's kas v'gaiva come from Misoda Eish. So it's good to know how, if you know it's coming from fire, how you deal with the fire. Sometimes you shut it off with the water. So, and we're going to see later on. I'll tell you now briefly. All this midas, the way in other places Chassidus is teaching us, instead of shutting down really the elements of fire, we could just redirect them, divert them. If somebody has a lot of fire, either he's going to have kas v'gaiva, or he could redirect the fire in learning with the fire, davening with the fire. So if you direct your fire the right place, divert it, then you will have less in klippas. But the pashtus comes from klippa, kas v'gaiva come from Misoda Esh. Tavis tanugim, running after pleasures. Misoda mayim, it's come from the element of water. Ki hamayim matzmichim kol mina tainug. We have all four elements: esh, ruach, mayim, offer, fire, air, water, and earth. So if anybody has tavis tanugim, is going too much after physical pleasures, because meaning by him is dominating of the element of water. Ki hamayim matzmichim kol mina tainug. The water are bringing all kind of pleasures, because without water, fruits and vegetables would not grow. So things that grow and giving us pleasure, the water causing it. If somebody has an element of water that dominating by him, he'll be more in tanugi olam haza. Again, something over here, you could redirect this tanugim of kedusha. You could enjoy doing a chesed, you could enjoy davening good, doing learning. So you could divert your taivas tanugim into kedusha. Now the next one, hoilus v'letzonus v'isparus b'dvarim b'teilim. Empty talk, gossip, isparus. The difference between isparus, that you brag about yourself, and gaiva. Gaiva, it could be somebody who doesn't talk about himself at all. It's a more deeper feeling of holiness. So Hisparus, somebody talks a lot about himself, but doesn't mean he has a deep guy, but just talks. Hisparus, udvarim batelim, empty talk, idle talk, misoid ruach, meaning by him is dominating the yisod of ruach, Air is empty. Those things are empty. Doesn't have much substance in them. Again, the Yesod Ruach also, you could redirect learning, davening. You could put the Ruach into the talk of Kedusha. Memela, you'll do less over there in the Klippa. Now, the fourth one, that's a little bit tricky. V'atzlus v'atzvus mi'yesod ha'ofer. Atzlus v'atzvus comes from the Yesod ha'ofer, laziness and sadness or depression, meaning if somebody has dominating of earth in him, he's gravitated to laziness and to. So this one very hard to redirect, because in Kedusha you don't have sadness, in Kedusha you don't have laziness. So that's have to be dealt either fighting with it, or something on the earth. You grow vegetables and fruits. You could grow on the atlus tanugim b'kedusha to get you out of depression. Again, all this in we could talk a lot about them, but we were short on time. There's still also some positive attributes that we have, but although something that come to us naturally, if the Jews by nature, they have Rachmanos of Gimulus Chasodim, it comes also from that soul, not from the godly soul, come from the animalistic soul. Why from animalistic soul should come something positive like Rachmanos Gimulus Chasodim? So it says over here, Ki B'Yisrael Nefesh the Klippa, by the Jews, that soul of Klippa, Miklipas Noiga, comes as we're going to learn later on, over here also and more in Perek Vav, that there's two groups of klippas. One group, 3 klippas, that's completely impure, that we have no business with them, we shouldn't have any business with them. And then the klippas noiga, which is noiga from the word twilight. It's a mixture of light and darkness. And since there's some light in that klippas noiga from the light part, from the good part of Klippas Noiga, we have those good midas of Rachmanos and Gmilas Chasodim. Ki B'Yisrael level to go Klippas Noiga shesh begam ken toiv v'hi misoid etzadas toivara. Etzadas toivara is good and bad in it. So memele that the good part in the Klippa, so comes out the Gmilas Chasodim Rachmanos the Jews possess. It's not coming from the godly soul. It's coming from our animalistic soul because there's some good to it. Mashenken nafshas umus of the Gilulim and Mishar Klippas Tmeis. The souls of the goyim and come from other klippas tumeis and b'hem toiv klal. There's no good in them at all. I will explain this a minute because I know many people bombard this Tanya with a lot of questions. We know a lot of good goyim and a lot of good people. How could they say and b'hem toiv klal? So I'll explain this in a minute. It's also Gemara and Babasa. The Gemara says all the good the goyim do legarmayu avdin. They're doing for their own sake, whether for the fame, whether they feel good about it, for their own good feeling, not for the sake of the mitzvah. Or the chesed the goyim do, it's chatos shekol tzedakah v'chesed she'umas of the gelulim oisim and an elali yisyar chula. It's for holiness. Now, I'm just going to answer this question over here. How come you were saying by the goyim and by toiv klal? First of all, when we're saying and by toiv klal, they have no good in them. It's one big problem to say that even. Why? And there's no, as we learn Shara Yichud ve'emunah, there's in this world, there's no life in this world. There's only source of life, it's God. There's no other source of life. So if they have no good, if Chayes of Hashem is good, if they have no Chayes, how they're alive? And if they're alive, they have Chayes of Hashem. If they have Chayes of Hashem, have to be something good over there, some good nakuda. Otherwise, there's no source of life without Hashem. So how could it say Emem Toiv Klal? So this answer, it's partial. The Mittel Rebbe explains, like we see by the dreams. We're gonna read this in the next parsha, the dreams of Paroi. That he saw the bad cows eating the good cows, and it says after the bad cows swallowed the good cows, you didn't see them becoming fatter. Lo noida, you didn't see them at all. So the Mittel Rebbe says something the kedusha. When Hashem gives chayus to klippas, then Hashem gives chayus to goyim. Sometimes they swallow the chayus of Hashem. The chayus of Hashem, you're moving, you're mobile, you're eating, you're drinking, you're breathing. It says no God over here. because the Velonoida, the Chayes of Hashem Velonoida become swollen, become hidden over there. So it says end them
But it's still
cloud.
there, but it's hidden.
Right, it's hidden. Very good. It's there, it's just so hidden that it looks like, appears like Enbam Tov cloud, but there is something there, it's just hidden. A.
So Rabbi,
B.
are you saying that everything has?
Let me just finish and I'm going to answer
Yeah.
it because I need to finish over here. People want to, we promised them it's 15 minutes, we're already 5 minutes over.
Okay.
So then there is another question, which is that's a lot of people, it's a good question. How could you say by the goyim embem tov klal? We do know, I know, you know, anybody knows. We met in our lifetime many good goyim, decent citizens. They're honest, they're good, they're kind. Even how could this embem tov klal? That's the question. So two answers. A. There is such thing. The Gemara in Sanhedrin said, "Chasidei umas ha'olam yesh lam chelek le'olam haba." So the Argoim they consider be Chasidei umas ha'olam, those which keep Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach, and some of them kind, good people, and to their neshama takem Chasidei umas ha'olam takem. Their nefesh Bahamis, that's the only nefesh they have. They don't have nefesh elokis. As we're going to learn next parak, only Jews have nefesh elokis. Their nefesh Bahamis, the physical soul that gives them life to their body, coming from a different source from our average goy. Average goy coming from shalosh klipas atzmayas lagamre, the three impure klipas. By them, the neshama coming from like by us, from the klipas noiga. That's why you see some good goyim. They take from a different category. A. Second thing is, what the definition of good and bad? And that's really one of the main answers over here. Good and bad, as we have to raise the bar of good and bad. If I ask a goy what time is it, he tell me the time. I ask him if he ever changed for $1, he changes my dollar. That doesn't make him good. That make him just civil, a human being. Because animals don't do those things. They won't tell you what time, they won't change, and they don't give you directions. If he just did such a simple thing, that doesn't make him good. Doesn't make him, he's an average human being. What makes you good? That's what we said before. The Teva calls it going out of their way to do such a thing. Usually, if a goy does it's legarme for his own sake. You see, going to do l'shem shamayim too. They give donation without making a big fuss about it. Yes, so they chasidei umas olam. But an average goy that is not chasidei umas olam, usually he does for his own sake. And a Jew, that's what his quality. Even with nefesh habahamis, he could go out of his way with his gunus chasam rachmanos to help someone else. Okay, Rabbi Isai, good evening. We'll see you in Hashem tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Yeah. Okay, what's your question?
So basically, what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to understand what you're saying is when Hashem is created the world, right? And when he created the world, I'm assuming he created everything with kedusha, right? But some of the kedusha is hidden, is what you're saying in goyim. But does
Right.
that mean that it's hidden in everything, or just goyim?
No, by everything. For
Well,
example,
like
yeah, sure. There's no life in the world without Hashem. If Hashem would not give life to it, would be no world. Lamashal, he's going to talk later on. Per example, we have behemoth cow. That comes also from klipas noiga. Then you have a lion, is non-kosher animal, because he's chayim sholosh klipas atmeas legamre.
Right.
Now, if you wouldn't have any life to him, he wouldn't be alive. He would be dead. What's giving him a life? God. There's only source of life is God. There's no other source of life. He's mechaya chayim. There's no other source of life. So how come I don't see in the lion some goodness? Like he's a chayat toref and he go and kill somebody and then that? Because the good in him, the chayat elaki, is so covered up, you don't see it at all. And by the way, the same idea will explain a lot of things. We talk, for example, molad al-levana, yeah? Kisuy al-levana, molad al-levana. What is that? Molad al-levana. Levan nolda. Al-levana shama kol hazman. Go to the moon at any time, beginning of the month, middle of the month. What a molad? Meaning that we speak in the terms in Torah the way it appears to us. The way it's appeared to us, the end of the month, look like the levana is disappeared. It's not disappeared, it's just the sun doesn't shine, the position, this. Something over here, when we say Elbam Tov Klal, what the way it appears. The good, it's there, it doesn't appear to be good because it's hidden. So, and that concept, if you look this way, Allah explained many psukim also. whatever it looks to us, that's how we talk about it. We say it's here, it's not here. For example, sometimes you have a conversation with somebody, say, I feel no one is here. But what do you mean? They're right here. Yeah, because they're not paying attention. I feel no one is here. I lie? No. That appears to me they're not here because they don't listen.
Right.
So it's a term we use. So we say, אין בהם טוב קל הכוונה, יש בהם טוב, אבל זה מכוסה. ולא רק בהם, בכל החיות הטמאות, anything that's evil, there must be good. Hitler had him good, otherwise he wouldn't be alive. The chayut sheyesh lo ze me'Hashem. How come he did so much evil? Because the good of God was so much hidden in him, he just used the evil in him. So again, but everything in the world has good in it.
Right.
By us, that's it. By the Jews, tov v'ra, the tov is also a little bit. It's begalui, and what's the balui? That's why we're beteva rachmanut gemilut chasadim.
Okay. What if you have like some Jews who are more evil?
The what? So by him, the same idea. So he took. No. It's not the same meaning like this. Meaning like still, we know. I have a lot of examples of it. We have a good friend. Her husband passed away. It's the old family. He passed away about a year ago. Oh, yeah, the yours are going to be mamash in a few days. The yours are going to be. He is on my birthday. It's the outside. Anyway, so she said when he was in the army in Russia, yeah, a lot of times with the soldiers, the stories about when soldiers have no vodka, they would drink perfume. They would drink who knows what. Yeah. In Russia, it was known that they would take anything just to make something alcoholic to drink. So she said, look what the Jew is. She said, when he was in the army, he grew as a goy. He grew as a secular Jew. He was not frum. He didn't know anything. It was communist time.
Yeah.
So when all the soldiers were drinking, and also it was already, at that point you had to do it because to show I'm a man. Everybody doing it, and I'm doing it too. I could do it. Like young people today would do things stupid just to show I'm a man, So he said when he tried to do it, he threw up. And he couldn't take it. And he says after that, his wife said in front of him, I could never put perfume on because he hated it after that. He was so despised with it. So what I'm showing you, a guy, the Jews are different than everybody else. It's something a Jew cannot do. And we see in life also. All of a sudden you see these guys, they're extra kind, extra this. They have something, there's in Russia right now, there's a bacher, an old bacher, but very big tzaddik. He has a talk show and everything. My wife found out he's Jewish. he spoke to somebody. Said, "Oh, my grandfather." He didn't even know he was a goy. He thought it was a Russian goy. Again, you see in Jews they have something, and it's known that they beteva they're different.
Why do we have it in our kid? Is it
because the guy said because our source of nefesh abahamit, even our physical soul, yeah.
Why is it like that?
Hashem created like this. He created from klipat noga. In that klipat noga, there's a lot of darkness there, but there's some light over there. From that light coming some good nature.
Do they come from Avram Avinu, or is it
And
like
by the way, look in the world. Look. Oh, very good. No, they didn't come from our sin, but it's beteva toldotam. It could be from Avram, but before Matan Torah. You bring a good point. I didn't want to get into it enough time today, so I'll tell you. Since you mentioned, I'm going to tell you now. Bonus. Where the Alter Rebbe took this from? Those two midas were coming from Beteva Toldotam. He doesn't say anything on his own, Alter Rebbe. Everything is sources. But where? We have to. There is books of research. No. The research like this. The Gemara said, yeah, that we, but the Gemara Yevamot said we have shlosha simanim. We have a signature. What's our signature? Shlosha simanim. Which three signatures we have? This is a signature. Like by the handwriting. This is I know who wrote this. It's his handwriting. We have a handwriting. We have a teva. Shlosha simanim b'umazo.
Okay.
Which one?
Should I guess?
Guess.
You do a yarmulke.
No. Simanim shel teva. We just mentioned two of them today. No. Rachmanut ugmilut chasadim.
Right.
That's beteva toldotam. But then the Gemara mentioned another one. Boshet panim.
Okay.
By the way, just to tell you what boshet panim is, I'll give you an example. What's going today with this whole the gay movement of proud gays, proud this, parade of proud. What this coming from?
I'm not sure.
I'll tell you where it's coming from. That's exactly the opposite of boshet panim. It's already azut. לא שהוא בא עליו רגע, הוא עוד גאה בזה. It's azut metzach. They destroyed any busha, any shame, any guilt. And by the way, in Western psychology now, they call guilt complex, yeah, which is a part of it's a branch of boshet panim. אני מתבייש לעשות את זה, זה לא מתאים לי. That brings guilt in. חסיד דבר כזה, זה לא מתאים. You know what they call this guilt? The mafia of the brain. Mafia of the brain. Yes, mafia of the brain. The mob of the brain, meaning something is a mafia. The dictators, they go with force. They're gonna force you to do things. They're gonna rob you. Yeah, it's robbing your brain. They say that guilt complex is gonna eat you up alive. You know what it is? It's opposite than kedusha. Kedusha, one of the simanim of umazo. Boshet panim. It's stopping us many times doing stupid things because it's not nice. I can't do this. It's not nice. That's not nice. That guilt we have, that little shame we have, it makes us a mensch. Animal doesn't have a shame. Animal doesn't say, I cannot make outside, I have to go to the bathroom. You know, it's animal. It doesn't have shame. What makes us human, it's the shame. We'll lose the shame. The question is, if Alter Rebbe took the simanim from that Gemara, why don't he mention Boshet panim? Why he mentioned only two? Gemilut Chasadim v'Rachmanut. What happened with Boshet Panim? It doesn't mention. No, Matamer. That's exactly what you mentioned. I thought you were touching on it. He said there is Alter Rebbe talks about B'Teva Toldotam. B'Teva Toldotam, what we're born in, with nothing to do with Matan Torah, we have Rachmanut and Gemilut Chasadim. Boshet Panim, we didn't come B'Teva Toldotam because another Gemara Masachet Betzah, Gemara Omeret. Azim Shebaumot Israel, the most arrogant people from all the nation. It's Jews. The Gemara says Az Shebachayot Kislev. That's why Kislev barks all the time. Az Panim, I love Boshet. Barks on everybody. He doesn't say, "Oh, it's not nice. He's a big guy. I cannot bark on him." He doesn't know anything. Not Boshet. Who barks on everybody. Az Shebaumot Israel. So Az is the epech than Boshet. Az panim leganom, Bosh panim leganem. The opposite, two opposites. So how could you say then we are Boshet panim? If we Az panim, how could they Boshet? Two opposites. Contradiction. Masachet Betzah katuv, anachnu Azeh panim. Masachet Yevamot katuv, anachnu Boshet panim. So how to understand this? So the Maharsha answered this question. The Maharsha said, Mitzad Teva, we ask panim. Mitzad Teva. The Gemara said, if not from Matan Torah, no nation would conquer us. Even at the Yom, if you see by the wars of the Israelis, they have this chutzpah, they call it Israelia chutzpan, that's the slogan, chutzpan. They have certain azut. Mitzad Teva, we ask panim. When we receive the Torah, by Matan Torah, it's softened our azut panim. The Torah makisha et nefesh ha'ba'amit. Brought us boshet panim. So that's why the Alter Rebbe does not mention boshet panim, because that does not come from nefesh ha'ba'amit, from the teva, from the physical body. That's come from the Torah. That's already nefesh elokit. That makes it boshet panim. Mitzad teva anachnu azeh panim. And by the way, that's why like ad hayom in Israel, you know, the slogan, what is Israelia chutzpan? Why? Because if you take the Torah out of the Israeli, and even when they learn Torah, if you're not l'shem shamayim, that he didn't refine his midot, הוא chutzpan. Because זה הטבע של היהודי. לא, זה doesn't come from the טבע. הטבע שלנו, הגוף, physical גוף, השם ברא אותו מצד קליפת נוגה, שמשם יש קצת טוב, שזה בא רחמות מול חסידים משם בא. הבושת פנים לא בא משם, הבושת פנים בא מהתורה, זה בא מהגוף. כן, כי הגוף של היהודי, הוא בא מקליפת נוגה, יש בו שם קצת אור, ומהאור הזה קם, כן, אנחנו באים הרי מהר, נכון, זה ה-physical part of him though, you're right, אברהם אבינו זה גמילות חסדים, יעקב אבינו זה רחמנות, נכון, אבל the physical part, שם גם להם, איפה זה בא להם? שיש להם נשמה שהגוף, הנשמה של הגוף, הנפש הבהמית, זה בא מקליפת נוגה שיש בה טוב ורע. מה שאין כן, הבושת פנים, הסיגנצ'ר השלישי, זה בא מהתורה. יש סיפור, שמעתי, שהסטמר הרב בא לאיזה עשיר, אני לא זוכר אם זה היה בלונדון, איפשהו, אחד הגבירים שלו, החסידים, הוא היה שם בשבת, אצלו התארח. הבן היה מאוד חוצפן, כדרכם בקודש של בני העשירים, מרגישים עזות פנים. הגמרא בקידושין אומרת, אחד הסימנים של השיר זה עזות פנים, השירות עונה עזות, השיר יענה עזות ככה, שלמה המלך אומר, זה הסימנים, הוא נהיה עז פנים, הוא חושב שהוא העולם שלו, יש לו כסף, כמה גרושים בכיס, זה העולם שלו. הסטמר הרב אמר לו ללמוד תורה, כל אחד צריך ללמוד תורה, בפרט אליו, כי התורה תכחיש את העזות. עם מתן תורה קיבלנו קצת בושת פנים. כמה שתראה ככה זה היום, בחיי יום-יום, אחד שהוא יותר בן תורה, הוא יותר, יש לו בושת פנים יותר, הוא יותר עדין, התורה מעדנת את הנפש הבעמית, ואחד שאין לו את זה בדרך כלל, הוא נעשה עז פנים, ויכול להיות דברים, ולהתפאר בזה, הוא גנב, הוא מתפאר, אני גנב, הוא אומר, אני גיי, ומה אתה מתפאר בזה? זה דבר שצריך להתבייש ממנו, לא משהו להתפאר בו, אז התורה מביאה את הבושת פנים, אז זה לא בא מהנפש הבעמית, זה בא מהנפש האלוקית. Come, we'll learn this in 15 minutes, come, get a lot of ideas, philosophy and psychology again.
I just dropped out of school, out of the course. That's whatever the thing is, just today. So I'm gonna start coming more often. I wanted to stay, but now we gotta fix it up. That's what
you were learning.
I was learning how to be a carpenter. Who doesn't like
Why you dropped?
When or
Why?
Everybody was calling me.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you. And I'm extremely happy for you. Now I could tell you more about it. You would waste 4 years for nothing. Okay, anyway, but not now. I have to go and I have to learn. So I'm happy for you. Really, I mean it. You could do way more, way better with your time. Not now. I don't have time now. I have to learn. I have to catch up. We could talk. We could talk. I'm very happy for you. You mom is wasting your time. You waste of time and money. No, I know it for fact. I know from people I know. In massage and in chiropractor. Telling you, I know people. I knew just one massage guy. His name is Yaakov Segal from Russia. I know only one massage guy. He would be world famous. He fixed people. Mama, when my daughter, when she was little, she was like this growing, not straight. He fixed her. There was an old lady there. She's radiating in Canada. She had nobody could have fixed her back. He fixed it. He was like, you have to be sometime top to be a success. כמו צייר, היום צייר לא עושה כסף. מי עושה כסף צייר? הוא צריך להיות נומבר 1 בעולם של לעשות כסף. זה היה אחד כזה. הוא היחיד שאני מכיר שהיה סקסס. כל האחרים אני לא מכיר מסאז'יסט אחד שאני מכיר. A lot.
Oh, you know a lot?
Yes.
Give me a number.
Quickly, of my mind, I know about probably about 5 of them. They're coming through my mind quickly. I could probably think of more. No, none of them are even doing it anymore. They're not there. I know the massagists, they're not even doing it. They're not there. אני מכיר כמה. שתי רוסים היה, אחד רוסי כשבא צריך לעשות את זה במונסק כשהייתי גר. יעקב סגל הזה היה לו ידיים, זה היה בא מהידיים שלו אלקטריסיטי. זה היה פלא. הוא היה, ממך, הטבעת שלי, תוך כמה פעמים ישר הולכת. הוא הייתה גודלת עקום. הוא בא עשה אצלי, פלא. הרוסי השני בא לעשות, הרגשתי איזה ברזלי בום, לא יכולתי. All of them licensed. אני גם יש דברים שצריך להיות number 1 to succeed, כמו צייר, כמו מסאז'יסט. If you're not number 1, you're another schlepper like everybody else. They're not. We'll talk about it. I need to go. I will.
Okay.
And Nachshon.
I'm not pressuring you. I'm just like, whatever.
The oral Torah.
Thank you,
The written Torah and the oral Torah. Both things all make up Torah. It was all given to Moshe Rabbeinu where? On Har Sinai. You know what it's called? Why it's called Har Sinai? Why?
Okay.
Sinai also means Har Sinai was a lowly mountain. Yeah? So you have to know in life, you have to be humble like Har Sinai, but also you have to be like a mountain. You have to be proud that you're a Yid. And they say you have to come work on Saturday. You say no. Shabbos is a special holy day, like Tanya was saying before. Tanya said, "We love Shabbos. You have to make sure that Shabbos, we keep Shabbos and we make sure there's a special song. Ain't gonna work on Saturday. Ain't gonna work. You know that song? Because this is what it's a special song. We have to be someone that we're proud. That's what it has to be like a mountain. It's a harm of the mountain. And Sinai also means it was the lowliest of the mountains. So Hashem, it's almost like if you were like two opposites. It was you could say, why didn't Hashem want to show about being lowly? Why didn't Hashem speak them out the Torah in the valley? No, you want to show that there's sometimes we have to have humility. Other times, if somebody tries to tell you can't keep mitzvahs, you say no. I'm going to follow Hashem, follow the Torah, and do what Hashem says. That's being like a mountain. You understand that, Chaim? Very important lesson in life. I'll explain to you, actually, I heard a mashal. I'll never forget this. Sometimes it's like this. You have to carry two pieces of paper in your pocket. Yeah? Time you carry paper in your pocket sometimes? Yeah? Yeah. You carry paper in your pocket? Like reminder notes, right? I guess about it. I have some like little sticky notes. Myself reminder notes. This is what the rabbi said in this. He said, one piece of paper says, very good, see, he's got paper there. One piece of paper says that, why do you have to be, so what says, Pesach with your Torah Sefer. Open up my heart to your Torah Hashem, right? The other piece of paper says, I am like dust and ashes. This is in the Shemona Esrei. You have to know. One may tell you, sometimes tell you can't keep listening, say no. Pesach with your Torah, I'm going to be strong and follow Hashem. The whole world was created for me. And when they tell you, when you're down in front of Hashem Shemona Esrei, that's the time we have to say, no, don't listen to this one. I'm down for Hashem. I'm now davening. You say Hashem. You say what? You say davening, and I have to open up my heart to Hashem's Torah. I have to have humility, right? That's it's very important to have humility and know that Hashem is helping us. We have to just do what Hashem wants and be sure. One more part of the Gemara here. Yeah. What does it say? What it says? It says, "B'kodesh hasek nesach shechal Hashem." The pasuk says, on the holy altar, the Mizbeach, before